Something is happening inside Dubai's malls. Not the kind of thing that makes headlines. Not the kind of thing tourism boards want you to see. But if you walk through them at 7 p.m. on a Saturday, the time these places should be at their loudest, you start to notice it. Entire wings echoing, storefronts with paper covering the glass, security guards outnumbering customers, escalators carrying nobody up to floors where nobody is waiting. For 2 decades, Dubai sold the world a very specific dream. The dream was that shopping here wasn't shopping at all. It was an experience, an identity, a reason to fly across the planet, check into a 7-star hotel, and spend an afternoon under air conditioning so cold it felt like a different climate altogether. Dubai Mall, Mall of the Emirates, Ibn Battuta. These weren't buildings, they were cathedrals. And for a long time, the pilgrims came. But the pilgrims are slowing down, the receipts are getting smaller, and inside the industry, behind closed doors, executives are quietly admitting something they would never say into a microphone. The model is breaking, and nobody is sure how to fix it. This is what's actually happening in Dubai's malls right now, why millions of shoppers are walking away, and what it tells us about the future of a city that built its identity on consumption. Let's start with the part most people miss, because it's not the obvious one. The obvious story is that online shopping killed malls. That's the story everyone tells about America, about Europe, about every dying retail corridor in the world. But Dubai is different, and the reason Dubai is different is exactly why what's happening there matters. Dubai didn't build malls to sell products. Dubai built malls to sell a feeling. The feeling that you had made it, that you were standing inside the future. That a regular Tuesday afternoon could feel like a movie. There were aquariums inside the malls, ski slopes inside the malls, dinosaur skeletons, ice rinks, choreographed fountain shows visible from the food court. The product was almost beside the point. You went to be photographed, to be seen, to breathe air that smelled like luxury, and feel briefly like you belonged to a different class of human. And for a long time, that worked. Because nobody else in the world was offering it. If you wanted that feeling, you flew to Dubai. There was no substitute. There was no app. There was no competitor. Dubai had a monopoly on a specific kind of theatrical retail experience, and the world paid the ticket price. But here's the thing about monopolies. They end. And Dubai's is ending faster than most people realize. Walk through Mall of the Emirates today, and you'll see it before anyone explains it to you. The big anchor stores are still there. The luxury brands still hold their corners. But the middle, the part of the mall that used to be packed with mid-tier fashion, accessories, beauty, electronics, that middle is hollowing out, shops closing and not being replaced. Pop-ups filling spaces that used to hold permanent tenants. Local entrepreneurs taking over leases that international chains walked away from. The skeleton of the mall is the same, but the body is shrinking. And the reason isn't just one thing. It's 3 things stacked on top of each other, and each one would be survivable alone. Together, they're suffocating the model. The first thing, and this is the one that's pushing locals out of the malls, is cost. Not the cost of the products. The cost of being there. Parking that used to be free for the first 4 hours has become a calculation. Food courts that used to feed a family for under 100 dirhams now run double. A coffee, a snack, a movie, 2 kids on a small ride, and you've spent the equivalent of a week's groceries before you've even looked at a price tag in a store. Middle-class Dubai residents. The people who used to spend every weekend inside these malls because there was nowhere else to go in the heat, are starting to do the math and stay home. They're driving to community centers in Sharjah. They're shopping at smaller, cheaper outlets in Al Quoz. They're not abandoning Dubai. They're just refusing to pay the experience tax. And here's where the second thing comes in, and this is the one tourists feel. The dirham is pegged to the dollar, and the dollar, over the last few years, has done what the dollar does. It's gotten stronger against almost every currency that used to send tourists to Dubai. The British pound, the euro, the Indian rupee, the Russian ruble, the Chinese yuan. A handbag that cost a European tourist a certain amount in 2019 now costs them significantly more, not because the price changed, but because their money is worth less when they get off the plane. And these tourists are smart. They've started doing what smart people always do when an experience gets too expensive. They're going somewhere else. Istanbul, Bangkok, Kuala Lumpur. Cities that offer 90% of the spectacle at 40% of the price. But these two things alone wouldn't be fatal. Dubai has survived currency swings before. Dubai has survived cost spikes before. What's making this moment different is the third thing. And the third thing is the one nobody at the top wants to talk about. The third thing is that the entire generation Dubai needs to capture next is uninterested in what Dubai is selling. Stay with me here, because this is where the story stops being about malls and starts being about the future of the entire city. The people Dubai built itself for, the ones who flew in to be photographed in front of the Burj Khalifa, who posted about the gold dispensers and the chocolate camels and the indoor ski slope, that generation is aging out. The travelers replacing them, the ones in their 20s and early 30s, want something completely different. They don't want spectacle. They want story. They don't want luxury. They want authenticity. They don't want a mall that looks like every other mall except bigger. They want a neighborhood, a market, a street, a meal cooked by someone whose grandmother's recipe it is. They want to feel like they discovered something, not like they paid to enter something. And Dubai, structurally, cannot give them that, because Dubai is not built for that. Dubai is built for scale, for air conditioning, for curation, for the version of luxury that was designed by committees in the early 2000s and frozen in place. You cannot pivot a city built on 12-lane highways and giant indoor experiences into a city of walkable neighborhoods and hidden cafes. It's not a marketing problem, it's a concrete problem. And if you think this sounds dramatic, listen to what's happening in the numbers, because the numbers tell the story before the city admits it. Foot traffic in major Dubai malls has been flattening, even as the population grows. Spend per visit has been declining, especially among residents. Several international brands that opened flagship stores in Dubai during the boom years have quietly downsized, relocated, or closed entirely. New mall projects that were announced with enormous fanfare in 2021 and 2022 have stalled, been redesigned, or been quietly removed from development pipelines. Even the developers, the people whose entire business is building these spaces, are starting to hedge. They're talking about mixed use. They're talking about residential. They're talking about anything except more retail square footage. And if all of this is true, you'd think the story would end here. Dubai's malls peaked, they're declining, end of chapter. But the most interesting part of what's happening is what comes next. Because Dubai is not a city that accepts decline. Dubai is a city that reinvents itself every 15 years and demands the world pay attention. And the question right now, inside the boardrooms and behind the closed doors, is what does Dubai become when the mall era ends? This is where it gets interesting, because there are two possible futures, and Dubai is hedging on both of them at the same time. The first future is doubling down, going bigger, building Dubai mall expansions, adding new mega developments, trying to out-spectacle the world one more time on the assumption that there's still a market for theatrical retail and Dubai just needs to push harder. There are signs of this. There are projects on drawing boards that would dwarf anything currently standing, but there's a quiet desperation behind these plans that wasn't there a decade ago. The confidence is gone. The bet is louder, but the certainty is thinner. The second future is harder, and it's the one Dubai isn't naturally good at. It's the future where Dubai accepts that the next generation doesn't want what the last generation wanted, and it tries to build something it has never built before. Walkable districts, authentic neighborhoods, smaller scale, character-driven retail, spaces that don't feel manufactured. You can see early experiments of this in Al Seif, in Ulcercal Avenue, in the way certain districts are being marketed, not as malls, but as moments. But these are tiny patches stitched onto a city designed for the opposite philosophy. Whether they can grow into something that replaces the old model, or whether they'll always be a marketing layer on top of the same concrete reality, is the question nobody can answer yet. And while Dubai figures that out, the malls themselves are caught in the middle, too big to die quickly, too dated to thrive, too central to the city's identity to be abandoned. So they exist in this strange in-between state, half full, half empty, half pilgrimage site, half archaeology, a monument to a version of the future that the future itself decided not to keep. What you're really watching, when you walk through a half-empty Dubai mall on a Saturday night, is something bigger than retail. You're watching the slow unwinding of a story a city told itself for 30 years. The story that you could build identity out of spectacle, that you could substitute scale for soul, that if you made it big enough, and cold enough, and shiny enough, the world would keep coming and keep paying. The world is still coming, just not as many. And the ones who come are spending less, staying shorter, leaving sooner. Dubai will survive this. Cities like Dubai don't disappear. They mutate, they rebrand, they find the next thing. But the version of Dubai built around the mall, the version where a Saturday afternoon meant a 4-hour pilgrimage through air-conditioned consumption, that version is fading in front of us. And the next version, whatever it turns out to be, is being built in the empty spaces, in the storefronts with paper on the glass, in the leases that didn't renew, in the silence on floors that used to roar. If you want to understand what's really happening in cities around the world, the slow shifts hiding under the surface of places that still look perfect from the outside, subscribe. There's a lot more coming, and most of it won't make the news until it's too late to look away.